Okay, so Jubilees, chapter 5. Very interesting chapter. First, it talks about the angels that had corrupted themselves, corrupted flesh too, by mangling their seed with women, the human women. And it talked about even cattle and beasts corrupted their ways as well. I'm not sure how that happened, but according to Jubilees, it happened. And this is, some people believe this is one of the reasons why the flood occurred, because of the corruption of not just the sins, although that was probably the biggest reason, because it was mentioned in Genesis that the thoughts of men were inclined towards evil, I believe is how the Septuagint renders it. Were bent on evil, I believe. And then it talks about in verse 8 how the days of man will be 120 years. This was not true technically, because Noah and even his descendants lived over 120 years. I believe this is referring to the span of time where Noah was preaching to the rest of the earth to repent. But how many were saved? Well, just Noah and his family. But they were still preached to. There were a lot of murdering going on at this time. Verse 9. And I'll just look at some footnotes. I might have missed some from the previous chapter, so I'll look at that as well. So there's kind of an extended commentary on both these chapters now. Okay, I don't see anything here for chapter 4 at least. Okay. Okay, so the four abodes of God on the earth from the previous chapter. Regarding the mountain of the east, it says here it is uncertain where that is. It could be possibly Mount Ephraim or Lubar on Ararat, which is where the ark landed, I believe. Or the mount above Eden, where the Sethites live. So there are three potential sites for this mountain of the east. Okay, two legends exist on Cain's death. This is the earlier, quoted in Sincel, the law of exact retribution enforced by Cain's fate. Beer says this law was unknown to traditional Judaism in cases of murder. It teaches the ideal in Galatians and so forth. And the gospel parables of Dives and Lazarus and unforgiving debtor. The later legend makes Lamech slay Cain, as I mentioned in the previous commentary. So Lamech, I believe son of Tubal-Cain, I'm not sure right now. Okay, now the commentary footnotes on chapter 5. The Day of Atonement blots out all sins for the truly penitent. That's in verse 18. And it says, the Babylonian Noah rested on Mount Nizir and the Lulubai of the Assyrian inscriptions. And it says in verse 31, the earth became dry exactly 1 year after Noah entered the ark. In Genesis 8, verse 14, this is on the 27th, not the 17th day. But the Septuagint manuscript quotes part of 31 and 32. So there seems to be a discrepancy there. In any case, I do use this chapter in particular to commemorate the significant events that occurred on the new moons of these particular months. We can see that in the first month, what happened there? Let's just rewind. Where is it? The first month. Okay, can't seem to find it. Okay, it says fifth week on the new moon of the first month. Okay, he entered the 6th year. In the second month, in the new moon, the second month, till the 16th, he entered all that were brought to him. The Lord opened the floodgates. Prevailed. So in the new moon, which is the first day of the month, in the 4th month, the fountains of the deep were closed, and the floodgates of heaven were restrained. On the new moon of the 7th month, so that's Yom Teruah, Feast of Trumpets, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened. So that's where mercy is shown here, and the water began to descend back into the earth. On the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. And on the new moon of the 1st month, the earth became visible again. So it was exactly a year from the time he went into the ark and then when the earth became visible again. So these 4 dates, 4 new moons specifically, the 1st month, the 4th month, the 7th, and the 10th, are known as the days of remembrance. I believe it'll be mentioned in a later chapter. If not Jubilees, then maybe Jasher. But that's all the commentary I have for this time, for this chapter. And tune in for Jubilees chapter 6.